Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is the Average Guy 1983. Thank you very much for tuning into the channel today. Today we're finally going to get the wire put in for the power run that goes from the battery positive terminal to your fuse holder, and from your fuse holder to the inside of the car, so you can be able to install aftermarket amplifiers. So here is what you're going to need to do to be able to get to that area. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to remove the area here. You don't want to remove this. If you don't feel safe removing it, you don't have to. That spot there can stay the way it is, but what you want to do for sure is remove the bottom of that plastic cover that's there. So there are 6 little plugs that need to be removed. You can use a simple little flathead screwdriver to get them off. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way real quick, and I'll show you guys what you need. So there are some inserts here, kind of see them there. Okay, there are 6 of those, and there's a little area there where you can put in a little flathead screwdriver and then turn it and then push up to get this off, and then you pull out the entire little cap off just to get the bottom off. Don't worry about getting the top, because to do that you need to remove those windshield wiper blades, and if you don't have the correct tools to get that out of the way and properly move it, you're gonna have some trouble. So don't even bother with that. We're working without having to remove that top part, just focusing on removing the bottom. So there's one there. Okay, moving further up, there's another one. Moving even further towards the middle, that's number 3, number 4, number 5, and finally number 6. And then you're going to want to get this little plastic cover off as well, which is easy to pull off. You just pull upwards and it comes right off like you just seen there. And then the same thing on the other side. Now once we get that done, we can start using the planning the location of where you want to put your fuse on there. I chose to go with the SMD copper fuse holder, and there's a couple things I like about it. Number 1 is that I can actually move these terminals in any direction that I want. So for example, if I want to plug it in here and I want the battery, the wire to be as closest to the battery as possible, I can do it like this as an installation to the battery positive terminal, and then have this other edge that's right here going down to the inside of the car. And that's one cool thing about it. However, I don't like that it's completely exposed from the all around, and it only has this plastic cover. And I've only heard one complaint about this fuse holder melting on somebody, and I don't know if this is going to happen to me. It also depends where that person mounted their fuse holder to, you know, because not everything that's made out of plastic or ABS is fireproof or melting proof. So you have to really look in here and see where you're going to be mounting a fuse holder. So again, there are a lot of manufacturers that make fuse holders. Find the one that's best for your application, and then figure out where you want to mount it at. In my case, I'm going to try to mount it right here on top of this bar, and I'm going to be using this Astro Pneumatic 1442 riveting tool to be able to make my connection or set up my stuff up here at the top, and then get things going. So let me go ahead and remove those covers, the bottom cover and then that thing there, and we'll start getting to the part that has to be cut open to be able to get the 4-aught wire running to. Now you can use 1 gauge. I think 1 gauge is more than good enough. I went overkill on this 4-aught for this big 4 upgrade, and I'm kind of having some regrets because it's really hard to work with. But we're going to go ahead and get all of this off too, because I need to remove this intake here to be able to get access to this battery terminal, because right there is where I have the alternator cable, which is in the stock location mounted, and I need to remove the cover this here to be able to mount the fuse at the top. Now I can do it from up here, but I prefer from doing it from the inside and have a more stable connection so it won't interrupt anything that's stock. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that removal there of these tools, of those plastic panels there, and then we'll get back to the video. Alrighty, so I wanted to make a real quick note. I'm gonna put this as bright as I possibly can to show you guys something. Okay, when you're moving this out of the way, this is the last one I have to remove. Okay, you just turn the the screwdriver, the flathead sideways, push this up, which it unlocks it. But then in the bottom, there's a little trigger there that you have to squeeze right underneath and then push up to get this thing off. So you have to get your fingers, squeeze it, and then start pushing upwards. There you go, to get this panel clip off. So basically, once you squeeze this part together like that, you'll be able to pull it off, and then this will become loose. Now I seen a video where Dean and Fernando from 5 Star Car Audio used an ABS plastic piece here, and they shaped it into an L shape, like a bracket, to put here to put the fuse holder there, or the fuse line. However, this is a really flimsy spot, so I don't think it's a good idea to be mounting the fuse there. But then again, I also don't think that where I'm going to be putting mine, or where I'm planning on putting mine, is also a good idea. So you got to really look around to find out where you're going to be putting your fuse. But we're leaving this on, this plastic panel here at the top, we're leaving this on to avoid having to mess with that there. And we're just going to pull off the bottom. Now for the bottom, there are a few clips. Okay, there is that metal clip that you see right there. Then there is this plastic clip that you also have to pull out with the screwdriver. And there's another one. Oops, there you go. There's also another one right there that needs to be pulled out. And then that one right there that needs to be pulled out in order to be able to get the bottom panel off this part. And once you get that off, you'll be able to lift this up high so you can see where we're going to be mounting or putting the wire, which is literally right through here. So you can kind of see it here. There is a rubber grommet very down there. Oh, very down there. Down here at the bottom. This is where you want to mount the thing at. So right where that wire is at, right at the bottom is where we want to do that. So you could kind of see it there. In a way, there's the grommet. Can you see it? Okay, that is where we want to mount or run the wire through. So you're going to have to cut a little hole and be able to stick your 1 gauge or 4 gauge wire that you're planning on using. And that's the only spot you need to use to go into the car. So it's really simple. Now, if you want to stop the video here, and after finding that out, you can do so. But I'm running it through the inside of here, not in here, but underneath this. In the bottom, there's a hole that you can actually run your wire through without having to make a hole through the firewall, which is pretty interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue on with this video. But now that you know where you have to put it at and where you have to make the little hole to be able to insert it, you're good to go from there. Just make sure you give the video a thumbs up for me, as this would help with the views and getting the information out to other people. And yeah, so let's continue on, man. Gotta get the rest of this off. Alrighty guys, so I'm going to show you guys from a distance because I got no other choice to show you guys how to get this plastic piece off in the bottom. So we're going to come up over here with the flathead screwdriver, pull this out. So I'm going to try to show you guys like this. Hopefully you guys can see my head, but just the screwdriver. We're pulling it out like this. Once it's out, you can see the metal bracket there. Just put it to the side with the rest of your clips, and then the rest is pretty easy. Get a screwdriver. Let me see if I can zoom in real quick. On maybe right around here. Hold on real quick. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. Actually right there would be a good idea, because pretty much the other side is the same thing. So I'm gonna do it right there and let you guys see from there. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys how to get this part off. So you just go up with your hand here, lift up. In the bottom, you go underneath. Don't go in between here. In the bottom, from the frame to the plastic piece. Get your flathead screwdriver, turn it sideways, just like that, and it pops it out of place. Once you get that off, it's pretty easy to remove that side. You gotta do the same thing with the opposite side that's right there. You see that one right there? Same deal. Let's do that again. Lift up the bottom here, put your screwdriver in the bottom here, and twist. Once you twist it off, you get this off. and then we go to the bottom and remove the two sides. It's separated. So there's one side, okay, we're gonna put it to the side. And then you can probably clean it up as well, because this plastic panel right here is what gets all the water from the rain that comes into this area, and then it goes down to the drain plug, and this way you don't have to worry about it. Now there's a drain plug right here that you can see, okay, there's a drain plug there, and let me go ahead and zoom back out, and that's where all the water and trash that comes here, all that debris that you see, like leaves and shit, or leaves and stuff, sorry, gets this area here, and it comes down through there. So now we can go ahead and put this to the side, and then remove the other side, which is simply just pull out, and there's the other side there. Now we have the bottom completely exposed. Now that we have that there, now you'll be able to see where you want to mount your fuse at. I mean, not your fuse, your power wire. So now all you got to do, here's your battery terminal. You lift up right there. After lifting, you see that wire grommet there with all that weird looking oxidized tape? That's the grommet you have to tap into. You got to cut it in order to be able to get the power run through there. That's all you have to do. Now inside of here, there is a location where you can actually run your wire through without having to tap anything. Basically, where you see that plastic piece right there in the shape of an L, where I'm pointing my finger at right there, right underneath that there's a spot where there's a rubber grommet. You remove that rubber grommet, and then you can install your 1 gauge or 4-aught wire in there to run it through that grommet right there that goes underneath the steering wheel. That's the spot where you have to run your wires. So let me go ahead and grab my supplies that I'm going to be using, and then we'll get back to this video. Alright, we're back. So I bought this plug here, and this is a Dorman plug. Here's the part number 42098. It's a 2-inch regular flat grommet, and it's rubber by Dorman. And it's what I like about it is that it's just completely flat from one side. This is, again, the measurements on this is a 2-inch plug. You can use something like some rubber cement that would seal it up, or even some Gorilla Glue that would bond rubber, and then just make a cut right here at this part here in the center with a knife, or some kind of a box cutter or X-Acto knife to run your power wire through it. And then this would go mounted, you see here, this would go mounted right in here where that grommet's at. This is pretty soft inside, so you would have to cut a hole, oops, and then mount the grommet here, just as an example. Let me just go ahead and put it there, something like that if you want, and you can glue it down and then just run that power wire in through there and through that hole. Now keep in mind, you don't really need this, so I might not use it. Remember that cover that we took off that was right here? Well, that cover completely covers all of this back area. Everything that you see with the metal, it covers it up. So all of this that's here doesn't actually get inside of there at all. It's dry. The only thing is that it doesn't help climate changes. And as you can see, you have a lot of stuff in here, including what seems to be the ECM of the vehicle mounted right there. So there's other spots you can try to mount this in, but I think this is the best spot to do it at, right around here. There we go, there's the grommet. So that's the one you really have to tap into. So underneath here in the bottom, you might be able to see it there, that is where you want to run your power wire from. So you're going to run it from out here where the battery terminal's at, and into this spot here. And then when you bring your power wire from there, you'll just mount it into there. And that right there will save you the problem of having to make a hole on the firewall that's unnecessary to run your power wire, and you're good to go. So it's just right at this little spot here. You just gotta grab the grommet out. Let me go ahead and take it out real quick, because this is just a cheap rubber grommet. See how it is? And it already has a hole. See that? That's what's inside. It's an expanded rubber grommet, and I'll put that to the side real quick so you can see the hole. There's a hole. You see that? That's all you have to run your power wire through, just from there. And then once you bring it in from in there up, you can mount it into your grommet location there, and there's your power wire running in through the inside of the car. That's all it is. It's pretty simple. It's not that difficult. And look, you didn't even have to remove your windshield wiper blades or your hood, like I seen another video or on a forum of somebody removing the hood at a shop just to get the power wire through, which I thought was pretty ridiculous. But anyways, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start figuring out how much I have to mount for my personal application, and then I'm gonna get the wire ran through. I'm not gonna show you guys how 100% how I ran it through. Like, I'm gonna show you basically how it looks once it's ran, so you can see where you have to insert your cable from, but you'll be able to find it from down in there somewhere. You'll just have to make sure that you have the space, and removing this and maybe even the battery will actually help you out to be able to reach that spot there. So just remember, you're going to need some tools to be able to remove the battery. I believe this is a 10mm and bolt on this side as well, so we're going to need all of that to get that off, because either way I need to get this off, this fuse holder here, or this fuse, to be able to mount the 4-rod battery terminal underneath this, and then this way I can have my run for my fuse line. So I'm gonna get all of this started, and then I'm gonna come back to it to show you guys how I did it to get the wire through. So stay tuned. Alrighty guys, so I crimped the first part of my wire that I'm gonna be running from the fuse line, or the fuse battery terminal. So here's my crimp. Now I know that it doesn't look all that great right now. I know that it doesn't look good in regards to it sticking out a little bit, but this will be having some heat shrink on the top all the way to that little mark that you see there on the side, till about up to here. So it will be well protected, just like the rest of those wires are that you see there. My black cables that you see there were all the same, and I am going to be using TechFlex. So before I finish my installation, I gotta make sure I have the proper fit with the TechFlex already on, and make my cut properly, and then do my crimp. So the goal is to get this battery terminal, or from the fuse into there where you see the fuse at, where it says 100. So this is going to be going inside of here. Now I could just put it here and leave it like that, but I don't like the idea that it's too loose, so I'd rather put it inside where it's more stable. So to do that, I have to remove this little plastic cover here that you see. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that right now with the little flathead screwdriver, and we're gonna remove that plastic cover, which is where your the fuse is connected to the inside of the car, the line that provides power for your sorry about the noise, man. I'm working in daylight. I don't have a shop and I don't have a garage, so we're just working with what we have here. But there we go, got the line off, and as you can see there, there's an exposed fuse. You see that? So go ahead and zoom back in. We have to take this off. This line here, the 100 amp fuse, this is the line that goes into the inside of that boot, that goes to that supplies all your power to the fuse block that's inside underneath the steering wheel. That's this one. This one, I'm not sure what it's for, because I have the SEL and not the limited with EcoBoost, so there's probably something special for the 60 amp fuse. But this fuse comes together. This 100 amp side is for your starter. This is the regular solid line connected to your alternator, and that's about it. But to get this fuse off, after getting this bolt off and the one from here, you have to go underneath right there where the stock fuse is at and pull that off. Now I put that bolt there because the one that's there didn't fit. So I know it's an M6 that you have to use at about 0.75 inches to be able to get it in there, or maybe even a 1 inch. 1 inch is pushing it. 0.75 would be okay depending on your application, but I have to remove that stock alternator wire and the one that I installed just to get this fuse off and plug this thing in. So once I do that, I'll be able to determine how far I want this wire to go and be able to install it properly. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to get to that because this is part of my application here. But I'm going to remove the bolt from the back, which is right there, and then get to work on this piece here. Alrighty, so I went ahead and I removed the battery terminal, which you see here. On the back is where you have that connection there. That's for your alternator positive lead, and that is where I connected the 4-aught wire as well, so that you can use this stock terminal instead of having to use an aftermarket one that doesn't fit properly. So this is also how you would change this fuse should it ever burn out, and just lift it up just like that, and there you go. That's the bolt that I need to tap into. So here's an example. So this is just how the fuse looks, and here's the bolt for the battery that just simply sits on top of this piece of plastic just like that. What I would do is get my 4-aught wire that I have here, connect the 4-aught there, or the terminal for your the inside of the car, put this back on just like this, put it back in there, and it will fit. You're not going to have any problems. The only reason why I'm having a little bit of a problem right now is because the way I'm holding the wire. But you would put it in like that, and then you will mount your screws back on after you're done. So this screw can stay on permanently. This doesn't have to move once you install that. But it looks like this. It's supposed to be like this, and that's supposed to stay straight the way it is, and that's your line right there. You don't have to worry about using a different battery terminal. Then you can just plug in your regular cable back onto the top here, which is the positive wire for your engine bay fuse holder or fuse block that has all the other fuses on there, and that's it. That's how you have to wire it. So now that you know where to mount your power wire that will go from your battery to your fuse holder and from your fuse holder to the inside of the car, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video here, finish my installation, and then show you guys the end results to try to keep this video as short as possible. So bear with me, guys. Alrighty, gentlemen, now we're at the part where I found where I'm going to be mounting my my fuse block, and I chose this spot right here. You can see that I've already installed one rivet so that I can be able to remove it and put it back as many times as I want without having any complications. Now I marked the other side of the fuse holder where it's going to go, and I need to use a 1/4 inch bit to make the first part of the hole, and then switch on over to a 5/16 and make the hole wider, and then I can go ahead and use the rivet tool to install that part of the fuse holder. And I would highly recommend that you have some kind of a rag. I would prefer microfibers that can pick up all the metal pieces that are going to come out of that thing and not make any interference with the car. So let's go ahead and turn this up on the brightness and get started. Here we go. So I'm short, I'm only 5'6", so I have to climb up on this engine a bit, lift this up as high as I can, and then grab this here and try to get this in there. Apply pressure on this and then get it going. Here we go. Hope you guys can see it. There we go. Got it. Alrighty, that's the first part of the hole. Now we got to switch over to the 5/16 bit, get that in there, and the rivet nut that we're going to use is a 10-24. I believe it's SAE. So let's grab this here again, lift up, just make sure not to break it, and here we go. Alrighty, perfect. That's done. Now we're gonna go ahead and clean up this mess real quick, and then go ahead and install the rivet. Once I clean all this up, we'll put it on. Alrighty, so here's the one that you need. It is a 10-24 rivet. They're very small. They're only about this big. And what you do is you have to attach it to your tool. So let me show you guys real quick how it's done. Let me focus here. So here's the tool that you need here. I got the Astro Pneumatic 1442. You open it all the way open, and then you go ahead and you screw down this insert as far as it can go, because this one unfortunately only goes about an 1/8. You need to make sure that the screw shows outside of this rivet, otherwise you'll damage the main body. So now let's go back to the engine bay over here real quick. Alrighty, here we are at the engine bay. Let's go ahead and finish putting this on so that we can mount the fuse holder and get things going. So again, lift this up, put this in just like that, and then keep it straight as much as you can, especially with this plastic here. And then go ahead and close it up just like that. Open it up and then unscrew the rivet nut from the bottom. Hope you guys can see that. Alrighty, and that's it. Now we have 2 rivet nuts there. Now we can go ahead and install the SMD fuse line and get the rest of this stuff going. So let me go ahead and take care of that. Alright, for quick reference, this is the screws that I'm using. Everbuilt 81 46 81. It's a 3-pack. It's a 10-24 by 1 inch long, and those are the screws that you need to use for this part. So let's get this going. Alrighty guys, so I've been working on this for almost an hour on just trying to figure out how to get the wire to go in through this boot here, right over here. And it turns out you need to unscrew, or you don't have to unscrew it, but I did to find out what was going on, because I kept putting the boot the wire through there, and I made an X mark on the rubber boot, right around, see if I can get it in here, right around that part right there. You can see the tear, and to put the wire in through there, just straight in. Problem was that I kept hitting something, and I don't know what I was hitting, and I couldn't get it through, and I looked underneath the car and I couldn't find out what the hell was going on. So I unscrewed these bolts from here. You need a 7/16 SAE socket to get those out of the way, with the shortest without an extension, just like this, just with the bolt and the actual wrench. To get these off, 4 of them, it's going to be a bit of hell. It's going to take you about 20 minutes to get them off, between 5 and 10 minutes, to be honest with you, to get them off, because it's a really tight squeeze. Then you can actually see what's going on. Afterwards, you need to come inside of the car in here, and you need to remove the cover that goes underneath the steering wheel, this part here. This uses a 7mm bolt to remove one from there, and the third one on the edge over there, which is kind of stuck because of this bracket here that I can't figure out how to take off. But I was able to get some lighting in here, because if you see here, this is all you see. You don't see anything at all. So I'm going to shine light where this hole is, and you'll be able to see for yourself exactly where you have to run your wire through. So it's a bit of work. If anybody ever was to install this for you, pay them well. Don't complain about having them charge you so much money, because this is a lot of work, and I just realized it myself doing it myself. But there's the light, okay? Once you see the light there where that little connection is there, or that grommet, we're gonna go inside now so you can see where the light is coming from. So here we go. There's the light. You see where the light is at right there? That's where you have to run your wire through. So you're gonna have to run your wire, and through here, through this side, you're gonna have to be able to see and try to see if you can get your hands in there to be able to pull the wire out. You might even need I don't know, you might actually need some kind of a special tool or something to like pull the wire towards you to be able to get it in. But there it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back once I get this wire in, because I need to find out how much length I need for my own application, because I'm applying my amp underneath the seat with the power wire running underneath on the driver's side. So I need to find out how much of this wire I actually need, and then apply the Tech Flex that I'm putting on to make it look nice. But here's the fuse line already connected. It ain't going anywhere. It's solid, and it's going to stay right there in that spot for easy access to stuff. But yeah, where you want to get the wire in through, it's right through here. You can see the hole there. So when you come out through here in this spot, you'll see my fingers. You see that? There's my fingers there. That's through the hole that's in there, and it's right in between this little bracket in here. So you really won't need to open this up like the way I did. You'll just need really good lighting on the inside of the car in order to get that in there. But I'm gonna start finishing this up because I don't have to have the battery disconnected for that part to be plugged in. So once I get that on, I'll continue on to this video, and you'll see me traveling the wire from the inside. I am going to do that part because you guys need to see this on how it's going to have to go in. So let me go ahead, finish prepping all of this up. And just in case you're wondering how the big 3 is done, here's the alternator wire right underneath there, and it's traveling in the little circular thing. That's 5 feet of wiring, okay? It travels exactly like the stock alternator wire underneath that area here, and it goes right there to the stock post. And the same deal with the ground wires. So I'll get more into that detail in a minute. Alrighty, so it's getting late. It's already 5 p.m. and some change, and I couldn't finish off this part. So tomorrow, Sunday, I'm gonna finish the rest. Of course, you guys are not gonna see that because obviously, or have to wait that long, because everything will be uploaded in this single video. But there's the line there, amplifier, main power, and it's traveling there. It's about 2 feet all the way around to the fuse holder that I had already put up for the SMD line there. And it's not going to touch anything, because you can see it's not going to touch nothing. Everything's going to seal off just fine. And then from there, I just have to run this power wire, which I'll have to do tomorrow because this is just really too late now and I can't see anything, and I really need to be able to see, and I have limited lighting. But I wanted to show you guys real quick how I did the big 4 before I put everything back together for the night. But basically what you need is 5 feet of wiring for your power line from your alternator positive lead, which is right over here. See if I can scoot that over. You can kind of see it there. There's your positive lead for your alternator. And then you have, and if you follow me on my Instagram page, under the average underscore the underscore average underscore guy 1983 on Instagram, you'll see that I have pictures there of this installation that I did. And there is the ground wire that you can see there from the alternator, also with a rubber boot going all the way across here, this way, all the way across to this line right here. So this is it. This is the alternator line right there. You can see it says alternator ground. And then I have this one here, stock. I did the stock chassis, so this is ground to chassis down there, which is underneath this cover, which is a little hard to do because I did 4-aught, but you might have an easier time with 1 gauge. or 0 gauge. And then I did my third ground run from the chassis or engine block right there to another chassis point right there. And then finally, like you seen earlier, the main power run, which is 5 feet. It was from here, from the alternator, positive lead all the way around, okay, like in a circle, because this is a really thick wire, very hard to work with. And then it travels underneath this area here, like the intake area, just like the stock wire, and it goes right there underneath the stock wire for the alternator. Now the reason why I didn't fuse it is because the alternator wire for the positive lead is not grounded. Now if it did have a ground wire, for example, like if it was grounded with like a 200 amp fuse, then yes, I would have fused it. But because it's not, and it's running in the same direction as the stock wire, that's the reason why I didn't do it. However, the main power run for the battery area here that I'm using, as you can see there, okay, that's how I did it. Underneath, it was a little hard. I kind of messed up this fuse, so I might have to get a new fuse to put it on together. I'm hoping everything works though. But I got that all together. It was a really tight squeeze. Maybe next time I'll just do it from the top instead of the bottom, but we'll see how that goes. But you have your amplifier plus main power traveling there on a 2-foot wire with grommets on the inside here with bolts. And then you have it's a 1024, by the way. And then there's your main power lead to the one side, and then the other side, which will be going from here to underneath this area here, this spot right there, that gap. It'll be going from there underneath this area here to the bottom, and then going underneath through here where my fingers are reaching out right there, that you can see, and then coming out to this area right there, going into there. And then once you come out from that spot, you'll have to go from the inside of the car after you take this panel off from underneath and grab it, maybe from here, from this area, and just pull it towards you so you can get it out and into the location where you want to get it at. But I'm gonna have to finish this job tomorrow. I have to put all of this back and go get some lunch, or actually dinner, for my family, because it's really late. It's already past 5 o'clock p.m. and I started at 1 o'clock, so I've been out here for a long time. So yeah, let's go ahead and continue on the next day. Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Average Guy 1983. Today is Sunday, November 24th, 2019. It's about 1:30 p.m. and we're gonna go ahead and finish installing this big 4-aught wire into the car. So before I get this wire installed, there's a couple things I need to do. For example, I need to pre-measure the wire after it's already been mounted to the fuse line that I have already on top of the car inside of the engine bay. And then I have to make sure that any curves or any way this wire moves, I measure the exact movement of it, so I know how much flexibility I have on this cable prior to installing the TechFlex. Because when you put TechFlex in the car and you over tighten it, let's say you want to keep it as clean as possible without the inside showing, and you stretch it out to like make it tight, the mistake with that is that it also makes the wire harder to move. And if you bend it like this, like the way I'm doing right now with the TechFlex can actually tear and get damaged. So if you don't want that to happen, I would suggest you pre-measure your wiring first that you're going to put into the car. And then afterwards, make sure that you apply the TechFlex. Only seal it on one side. So add the TechFlex on the entire cable, but put the heat shrink on one side on it already heated up, and then go ahead and run it again through your car. Once the other end is already done, then you can go ahead, after all these curves and everything has been done, you can go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side with the terminal, or however you're going to do your installation, and then add the heat shrink to it, and then be done with that part of the cable, and then you're good to go. So another thing I wanted to clear up really quick was on the last video that I did from yesterday, which was Saturday, before I started today's part, was that I gave you guys some wrong information about the about installing a fuse on your alternator. Now I mentioned something about grounding a 200 amp fuse. don't listen to that. I actually messed up. What I should have said was that if your alternator comes with a fuse standard from the factory, from your positive alternator lead to your battery positive lead, then the best thing to do is to go ahead and install a fuse on that same wire that you're putting in. But if your car is like my Ford Flex, where the little tiny baby 4-gauge wire that's connected to the positive lead goes to your battery positive lead without a fuse, don't bother putting one there. Where it's really important to put one is from the battery terminal to going to the inside of your car. So what you want to do is you want to keep the wire run as short as possible from your battery positive lead to your fuse, because from the battery to the fuse you can have a lot of damage. If this cable was to tear and it touches ground, you're gonna cause a short in your car, and the fuse is there to pop should in case anything like that happen, and then prevent any further damage coming to your car. So let's say you have about this much cable, about 4 to 5 inches of cable to your battery terminal, and then you apply the fuse with the fuse block with this end, and then the rest of the end is about 10 feet or 20 feet or whatever. If any part of that 10 or 20 foot cable gets torn and touches ground, it will automatically pop the fuse. After like a little bit of heat, resistance, it would actually pop the fuse, and it'll prevent further damage happening to your battery or your engine bay and causing a fire. That's what's the importance of having a fuse into your vehicle from your battery post to the inside of the car. So now that we got that information out of the way, let's go ahead and get started, because I don't want it to be too late and then not have a chance to be able to finish this wiring and show you guys the craziness that you're going to have to deal with. And we're going to have to go back and revise some of the information that I gave you on where to make your cut. You're going to have to make a cross cut, and I'm going to show you guys where to do it, and do not do it in any other spot other than there to avoid any problems. So let's go ahead and do this. Alrighty, gentlemen, so now that we have the wire here, we're going to go ahead and start installing the cable. What you want to do first, as you guys can see, I have already mounted the wire, the fuse line that I'm going to be using with the rivets that I showed you earlier on the video. So we're going to go ahead and remove this part of the screw terminal to get it out of the way, and then we're going to go ahead and install this wire in there. Just like that, okay? And when we install it in here, we're gonna go ahead and tighten the bolt by hand. There's no need to go all crazy and over tighten your bolt with the tool yet. And then from there, once we tighten it up, now we can go ahead and see what mess we have on installing this wire into the car. Because see, this wire needs to run from here underneath this little pocket there that you see. Let me see if I can go ahead and zoom in for you guys. Underneath here, okay, this spot here, it needs to go under there, and then it has to go from, when it goes under, for example, let's say this spot right here is that spot right there, it will go under and into a hole in the U shape and come right out from that spot right there where I'm pointing at. And then once it comes out of there, then we can go ahead and mount the wire into the into this rubber boot. And because there is no water that's going to run through there at all, there's no need to put that little rubber grommet that I had showed you guys. So I'm not going to have to use that after all like I thought I was. So let me go ahead and show you guys how it's done. So here we go. So it's going to be a really tight squeeze, and you guys are going to have to bear with me on this, because there is no other way to get this wire in here except the way I'm going to do it right now. So let's go ahead and get this wire in. The first thing we need to do is just lift this up. Now, if you do have a chance to move the windshield wiper blades, it would be more beneficial to do that. You'll have more space to work with. But because I don't want to get it out of the way, this is how I'm going to do it. So let's run the wire. We're running it through the bottom. As you're running it through the bottom here, you want to use this spot with your fingers. That spot where the hole's at, you want to get the wire in through there in a U shape. Now, there is a rubber boot that goes there. So once you have the wire in, just reapply your rubber boot to avoid the wire from tearing, and you'll be good to go. So let me go ahead and do that right now, and then I'll get to the video showing you how I got the wire through. But let's go ahead and try it like this anyways. Let's see here real quick if we can go ahead and get this done real quick within a 2-minute time frame, and let's see if it's possible. Highly doubt it though, but let's see. So I'm gonna put my fingers underneath here, and I could feel the wire already. Now the point is to stick the wire down, and as it's going down, you start bending the wire inwards into that hole that I showed you that's inside of the engine bay, where that rubber boot is at. So yeah, it's a little difficult, especially since I'm using 4/0 and I'm smashing the crap out of my finger. But there we go. Okay, here's a good example. Let's go ahead and show you guys real quick. Let me move this tripod out of the way. Okay, you see the wire there? That's where it has to go through. Once you get it in there, it goes into this boot. Right here, where you see that tear, don't bother to cut anything on this top part. I made the mistake of cutting a little slit. Don't do that in this spot. Focus on this area right here where I actually cut this open, because this is where you're going to have to run the wire through, and you're going to actually have to cut pretty deep because there's 2 layers of a boot. There's this layer here, and then there's a layer underneath that you're going to actually have to cut through. So make sure you have a blade that's about a good 2 to 3 inches long to cut an X mark and about 2 inches wide. So 2 inches across on the side and 2 inches across from up to down on this cable, so you can on this grommet, so you can go ahead and run the wire in through there. And then we'll have to go in through the inside of the car and start pulling the wire from the engine bay into the vehicle. It's a good thing if you have a 2-man person, but if you're like me and you're by yourself, you have limitations on working with this. But let me go ahead and finish getting this wire completely in, and then we'll go ahead and start moving it into the boot. You know what, on second thought, let's go ahead and film the whole thing. I don't want to leave any important stuff out, and I'd rather show you guys exactly how I'm doing, so you know how hard the work is to do. And if you ever take it to a shop, don't get upset if the shop charges you a good amount of coin for doing something like this for you, because it's a lot of work. I have damages already all over my hand. I have cuts all over my wrist from that tight spot over there. So let's go ahead and show you guys how I'm pulling the wire. So what we're doing here is I'm pulling this wire outwards, and then this part of the wire here that's attached to this, I'm pushing in. So I'm being careful though, because I don't want to tear the wire. So what I'm doing here is, as I'm pushing the wire inwards, I'm pulling out. And I'm pulling the wire out from the opposite side where it's supposed to go into the rubber boot to get into the engine. The inside of the car. So again, we're just pulling the cable and pulling it. This takes some time because, you know, this is a long run. This wire is 12 feet and 7 inches. This is all I have left out of 25 feet. So actually not 25 feet, I bought 20 feet, and New Concepts actually gave me 22 feet, which was kind of them to give me 2 extra feet for free. But this was years ago when they were doing really good with their quality control, and they really cared about customer service. Nowadays it's been more about money than anything else, but I don't blame them. You know, like they say in the West Side Connection, money makes the world go around, man. And it really is a reality. So there it is. There's the cable already in here, and you want to make sure that you have enough space to you know, move this cable out should you ever need to get it out of the way, especially with the Tech Flex. This wire is going to be a little more stiff, like the other side here that's stiff, and you want to leave it like that, and it's not going to interrupt anything. Now the other fun part is going to be to run this whole cable into the grommet that's inside of here in the inside. So let's go ahead and try to see if I can get that in there for you guys. I highly doubt it, but let's try anyways and see if we can. I think I could pull this tripod out. No, I can't. It stops there. Oh well. Let me see here. I'm trying to see what is the best way that I can get this cable in here and still show you guys how it's ran. But let me see here. I'm gonna try to zoom in about right there, and then turn up the brightness as high as I can, and just get this cable in here and start shoving it into the area where I made that cut. So it's a little difficult to get in there, especially because, you know, with my application, I chose to go with 4/0, which I don't think was the brightest idea. I think 1 gauge is more than enough wire, or of a size, to get in here. But once you see that the wire is in, you guys can see that there. Oops. And let's go right there. Once the wire is in there like that, now you can go ahead and pull it through from the inside of the car. So let me go ahead and show you guys the inside. So all you need to do here is remove 3 bolts from this area here. You need to remove 3 7mm bolts, one on this spot here, one on this spot here underneath this little thing to be able to open the hood, and then one at the very end on this side. Once you do that, you can just grab your hands, put it on the edge of your fingers, and open up this thing here. I didn't bring my pry tools with me, so I'm gonna have to do this by hand, just like that. And then get this out of the way here. There we go, just like that. And then we can be able to see the wire from in there. Once I shine some light in there, you'll be able to see the wire, and we can actually pull it from this area here as much as we can and pull it towards us. And that's how you get the wire in. So let me go ahead and try to get it in there and see how we go from there, and I'll come back to the video. All right, gentlemen, something I forgot to mention to you guys. Remember I told you how there's this little rubber boot that goes inside of that little hole? Make sure you put that wire, that boot on first before you run your wire through. Which I left mine here, but again, for my application, I'm pre-measuring everything. But here's the boot that goes in here, and this boot here is supposed to go on the inside there, where you see the wire running through. See that little hole there? It goes right in there. So you'll have to get the wire, put it in through there, and then have the wire running from the inside, from the bottom underneath this. And just to keep it safe, this is another form of protection on the wire to prevent it from getting cut and having any fires. Then you can definitely avoid problems for sure. But let's go ahead and go inside real quick so I can show you guys now that the wire is in there. See how we have the wire running through there, right? That's where you want to run it from. Don't run it from any other spot. So let's go ahead, come on in here real quick. Oh God. Let's see here. So this is still important to open up should in case you need it, but the wire is located right here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but let's see here. Where did I spot it out? Here we go. See it right there? That's where the wire is at right there. So your job is to grab your hands from here. Oops. Keep messing up here. Jesus. Okay. Your job would be to go and grab this wire with your hands if you can, and try to pull this wire towards you. It's a little hard to reach because this is where it's at. Basically, here's your little brake thing, emergency brake, or the rear braking, and then right where your wire is going to land, it's going to be in that spot right there. So you can see that blue wire there. We need to try to figure out how to get this wire pulled from where it's at towards you. Now that's something that I'm going to have to figure out. I don't know how I'm going to get to it, but I'm going to try. And then but that's how the wire runs through there. So just in case you want to know, that's where it's going to land on the floor, as long as you push it all the way down. But again, I'm using 4/0, and it might be a whole lot easier with 0 gauge wiring and then just getting the wire through. So let me try to get pull this wire, and then we'll get back to this video. And while you're at it, if you guys can, please hit that thumbs up button for me. Normally I don't ask for people to do this, but I feel like if I get more thumbs up on the videos, they'll be shown more on YouTube and more people can get the information that's needed for their vehicle, because there's only so much that my tags can do that I put into the video prior to uploading. I also have to be careful now when I use profanity, because YouTube wants me to basically put whether my videos are safe for children to watch or just for adult, or both children and adults. So now I have to go through each and every one of my videos on the channel and make sure that none of my videos have any profanity in them, so I can change it to both. If they do have profanity in them, then I change them to just adults only. So I'm going to try to keep things PG or rated G. And that's about it. So yeah, let me go ahead and try to get that wire out. I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to pull it out from there. And then we can go ahead and run the wire through. It seems like we're going to end up running it through this side over here, and then getting it under here for the fuse line. So let me go ahead and stop this here and try to figure out how to get that part of the wire in. But this is pretty much all you have to do to get your wire into the car, and that's it. And that's the whole installation right there. So let me go ahead, stop the video, measure everything, and then go ahead, add my tech flex. Once I get everything done and installed, I'll go ahead and restart the video here from where this point is at and show you guys the end results. Thanks for watching so far, guys. Appreciate your patience. Alrighty, guys. Something else came up that I decided to go ahead and film right now, besides cutting the crap out of my freaking thumb and the rest of my hand here. Let me show you guys real quick what I'm talking about. So there's a 10 millimeter bolt that you'll have to remove from that spot right there that you see, that little area there next to the steering wheel column. And that, when you move it out of the way, once you move it, you can lift this part up a bit and then grab the wire and then start pulling it down, so this way you can get it into the car. This is how you run your power wire into your Ford Flex, and you can decide whether you want to just go it across this way through the floor and then go around this way, which that's pretty much what I'm going to end up doing. But that's how you get this in here. Once you have this in, you can go ahead and put this cover back into its spot, and then once you have that in there, reapply the bolt that's right there. And there you have it. This is exactly where you get your cable running from this edge here. So now that we have that, you can start putting that back together and then finish your installation. So now that you know where the wire is running from and what you have to do, I'm going to go ahead, stop the video here now, go ahead and measure my wire that I have to run. So I'm going to run it in a shape of an L, coming down this way, across there on the inside, and then into this area here, up to over this bracket here underneath, and have my fuse line connected there for my 2 amplifiers and my epicenter and my audio control LC6. So yeah, we're definitely doing progress, and I really hope you guys appreciate this video. I was going to do this anyways, but what's taking me more time is having to film all of this process. If I didn't have to film it, I would have already been done. But I'm glad that I'm able to give you guys some information and you know, get this going. So yeah, this is for the 2 guys on Instagram that asked me about running this power wire, that were interested in it, and the 6 guys that actually sent me an email through my average guy 1983 v3 email address on Gmail. And yeah, so this is for you guys. And let me go ahead and stop the video here, measure my wire and how much I actually need to get under the seat. And if you guys are going to do the same thing, I'll let you guys know exactly how much feet I had to use, and where I'm going to be fusing my my fuse holder for the inside of the car to go into my JL audio amplifiers. So yeah, let me go ahead and stop here now, because I'm monologuing too much, and finish this crap up and wrap it up. Hey there, how's it going everyone? Average Guy 1983 here. Finally got to finish everything here. So now that we're done with this part, I can tell you guys exactly how much wire I used. So I bought a total of 20 feet of wiring. In my case, I chose the 4/0 wire from New Concepts. And what I did was I used 5 feet for my power run from the stock battery location on the alternator to the positive lead on the alternator down there. And then I did the 2 feet wire, or 2 feet 2 inches or something like that of wiring, basically from this battery terminal here on the inside of the terminal like you guys seen earlier in the video. And then I ran it around the back of the that bar that goes on the engine area into that fuse holder that's mounted with rivets. And then I ran this wire here all the way into the car. That's a total of 9 feet and 2 inches out of the 12 feet and 7 inches I had left. So then it leaves me with exactly 3 feet and 5 inches for this wire. And I'm actually going to be using this for my ground, since I have a ground distribution block for my amps, and I'm going to be connecting this to a good chassis point inside of the car, and then having it plugged into that distribution block for grounding on my amplifiers and for the epicenter, as well as the audio control LC6. And that's it right there. So let me show you guys what else I had to do. You guys already know about the 4/0 the big 4 upgrade that I did on this car. So now let's go ahead and go inside real quick and show you guys how I put the wire in. Now I really only needed about 8 feet or less, maybe even 7.5 feet, but I wanted to give myself some extra wiggle room here. So let me show you guys real quick. So inside you can kind of see the wire there. That's where it's running from. And I'm glad that I chose blue, because with blue you can actually see the wire really well. And again, this is 4/0, so this is oversized wire. If you use 1 gauge, you'll probably have a way easier time than me getting this wire in. And it's traveling underneath the carpet here. You can kind of see the rest of the wire there underneath. And it goes all the way across from there, underneath the bottom there in this area, traveling this way. And then it curves inwards in the bottom here. Oops. Curves inwards around this side, and you can see a little bit of a bulk here. This is the bulk from the air conditioning vent that goes underneath the seat, and I actually have it running through the side all the way in. You can kind of see it in there. So let's go ahead and go to the back seat now, so you guys can see how the rest of this wire is. And here's the rest of it. Now this part here is exposed, but it's exposed from this line down this way. So from here up, it's just the Tech Flex being wrapped up with Tessa tape, fabric tape, just to make sure that it doesn't touch anything and cause any short. It wouldn't though, because I don't have the fuse connected to these 2 wires. So in the engine bay, but there is the spot where I have the wire coming out through. So I did have to cut it with a blade. I cut about 3 inches from there to be able to get the wire in through, so it can be right next to the AC vent and not interrupt anything. However, I might make it shorter than what this is. I really want to have the fuse mounted somewhere on that point there, the fuse block for my JL amps. And I'm going to be using a 4/0 to 0 gauge adapter for that plug. So anyways, that's it guys. So now that you guys already know how to install this wire, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and share with your friends for any other Flex owners from 2009 to 2019. And follow me on the Instagram channel, _average_guy 1983. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you very much for watching guys. I appreciate your patience, and again, share with everyone, man. Let everybody know. And talk to you guys later. If you have any questions about all of this, comment down below, and I'll do my best to respond to you in a timely manner. Thanks for watching. Peace.